Hi, everybody. This is Bill Young from Berlin Center United Methodist. This is the Gospel of John study, and we are in week 4, and this is day 2. So we're going to look at John chapter 9, verses 6 through 11. So let's hear a little bit about this passage.
After saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. "Go," he told him, "wash in the pool of Siloam." This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. His neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begging asked, "Isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg?" Some claimed that he was. Others said, "No, he only looks like him." But he himself insisted, "I am the man." "How then were your eyes opened?" they asked. He replied, "The man they call Jesus made some mud and put it on my eyes. He told me to go to Siloam and wash, so I went and washed, and then I could see."
Okay, and let's look at the discussion questions about this, and then we'll read a little bit about the passage. So the questions about this is to compare this story with the one found in John 5 about a man who is seeking healing in Jerusalem at a different pool, the pool of Bethesda. What similarities and differences do you notice? There are several stories of Jesus giving sight to the blind in the Gospels. Why do you think it was important for the evangelist to emphasize this kind of miracle? At what juncture did the blind man gain sight? What does this tell us about people who want to be healed as opposed to the people who would prefer the attention and pity, even the monies their illness brings to them? So I'm going to read a little bit about this passage as you look at these questions to help us reflect on it. So I am reading from the book, and it begins on page 48, Understanding the Word. To understand this narrative, several things need to be mentioned by the way of background. It was often believed in antiquity that holy men had holy tears, holy saliva, holy sweat, holy blood, and so on. There are other stories from this era of people being healed by the saliva of the very powerful person. Even in one case of the story about Emperor Vespasian, retold by Roman historian Tacitus. Among the lower class at Alexandria was a blind man whom everybody knew as such. One day this fellow threw himself at the Vespasian's feet, imploring him with groans to heal his blindness. He asked that he might please the emperor to anoint his cheeks and eyeballs with water of his mouth. The second petitioner, who suffered from a withered hand, pleaded his case too. At the first, Vespasian laughed at them and refused. When the two insisted, he hesitated. At one moment he was alarmed by the thought that he would be accused of vanity if he failed. At the next, the urgent appeals of the two victims and the flatteries of his entourage made him sanguine of suggest. So Vespasian felt that his destiny gave him the key to every door, and that nothing now defied belief. With a smiling expression and surrounded by expectant crowd of bystanders, he did what he was asked. Instantly the cripple recovered the use of his hand, and the light of the day dawned upon the blind companion. Both of these incidents are still vouched for by eyewitnesses, though there is now nothing to be gained, and there is nothing to be gained by lying. What is notable about this story is the request for healing by saliva, whether we give any credit to the story or not. Now, Jesus did not need to heal using saliva or mud, but he does so to demonstrate to those observing that healing is in process. Notice how Jesus comes down to our level to communicate in a way that the audience would readily understand. But there is another important reason as well. Jesus wants this man to participate in the process of his own healing. Hence, he is told to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. At first, his neighbors can hardly believe that it is the same person who was once blind from birth when they see him walking around, enjoying seeing the world for the first time. But now the man knows that it is someone named Jesus who healed him, but he has not yet seen him face to face. Indeed, he will not do so until the end of the narrative. The neighbor's skepticism is quite understandable, since there are no Old Testament stories about sight being given to a blind person, much less a man born with no sight. None. Indeed, there was even a Jewish tradition that said when someone comes who could not do that, you would know. I'm sorry. Let me reread that. Indeed, there was even a Jewish tradition that said when someone comes who could do that, you would know Messiah had come. It was that rare and unexpected. Finally, notice that at the end of this segment of the story, the man does not know where Jesus is or how to find him. His spiritual journey has just begun. I hope you've enjoyed today's reading. Reflect on these questions, considering the passage, and tune in tomorrow as we look at John chapter 9, verses 13 through 17. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day.